Warning: 50 States, 50 Murders is a podcast based around true crime. Please be advised of the horrific details of murder, abuse, and sexual assault, occasional adult language, as well as brief humor. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
What does a man who murdered 33 people choose as his final bite? What about a woman who poisoned her entire family? Today, we're not talking motives. We're talking menus. Welcome to a very different kind of countdown. The last meals of the condemned. This is 50 States, 50 Murders. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 50 States, 50 Murders. I am your host, AJ, and this week I'm going to be flying solo as my co-host, Sarah, is off traveling. She's in Las Vegas at the moment, so we wish her best of luck and safe travels home. Instead of skipping a week, I thought we'd try something a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and give us a short-form Mini Sode. Let's go ahead and call it a little snack-sized episode, if you will. And what better topic for a mini-sode than food? Specifically, death row last meals. I feel like there's just something so intriguing about last meals. There's just something so final about it. And it's one of the last few things you'll do if you are on death row. So I always like looking into that. And for this episode, these are some final requests that have long fascinated the public. Equal parts morbid curiosity as well as strange humanity. Some like to go big and some go bizarre. And some honestly barely eat at all. So let's go ahead and dig into this week's episode. First up, we have the killer clown himself, and that's John Wayne Gacy. Now, we haven't really got to dig into John Wayne Gacy on 50 States, 50 Murders just yet, because he did roam the state of Illinois, which is a state we have not jumped into yet. Keep an eye out for Illinois if you are a John Wayne Gacy person. We'll be sure to talk about him a little bit deeper, but for now, let's talk final meals. So John Wayne Gacy was convicted of murdering 33 young men and boys. Gacy was executed in 1994. His last meal consisted of 12 fried shrimp, a bucket of original recipe KFC, French fries, as well as a pound of strawberries. A fun fact about his final meal, John Wayne Gacy actually used to manage 3 KFCs. So whether it's nostalgic or if the chicken is just that good, I thought that was a little bit twisted. I'm not sure I would choose a place that I used to work for as my final meal. I would have to assume just looking at photos, it looks like my guy was probably eating plenty of KFC in his time. But yeah, I guess it was just that finger looking good. Next up, we have Velma Barfield from the state of North Carolina. Velma poisoned her boyfriend and several elderly patients under her care. She became the first woman executed in the United States after the death penalty was reinstated in 1976. Her request for a final meal? Cheese doodles and a can of Coke. Simple, salty, and honestly, kind of sad. I'm not familiar with cheese doodles. I'm assuming that those are your cheese puffs. Not hating on the cheese puffs, but for a last meal, I don't know if that would make my cut personally. Next up, we have Ronnie Lee Gardner from Utah. Ronnie shot a man in a courtroom escape attempt and later executed by firing squad. Side note, awesome way to go out if you get the choice. Firing squad, I think that's a pretty cool way to go. His last meal, steak, lobster tail, apple pie, and vanilla ice cream. So far, I would say this is probably my favorite final meal. And also, he requested that he would be able to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy while he fasted for 48 hours before his execution. Got to make sure that you have plenty of room for all the steak and lobster tail that you can eat. Next up, we have a person we just recently talked about, and that's Timothy McVeigh from Oklahoma. If you're not familiar with Timothy McVeigh, he is the Oklahoma City bomber. And his final request, 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. No explanation, just cold, sweet, and unsettling. And we have Victor Fagur from the state of Iowa. Victor was convicted of murder and a botched kidnapping. He was the last federal inmate executed before McVeigh. His meal? 1 single olive, with the pit still inside. So Victor ate the single olive, but he kept the pit, and his hopes was that an olive tree would grow from his grave. They actually buried him with the pit still in his suit pocket. Next on our list, we have Teresa Lewis, and she is from the state of Virginia. Teresa orchestrated the murders of her husband and stepson. For what reason? Insurance money, of course. Her final meal? Fried chicken, sweet peas, apple pie, and a Dr. Pepper. Something about apple pie and death. It just feels American, but in the worst way possible. And then we have Ricky Ray Rector from the state of Arkansas. Staying to theme, I just feel like Ricky Ray Rector, that just feels like that's a name of a murderer. After killing a police officer, he shot himself in the head. He survived, but with significant brain damage. His last meal included steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. He famously left the pie untouched. That might sound kind of weird. However, he claimed that he was saving his piece of pie for later. That line stuck with a lot of people because it's heartbreaking, bizarre, and confusing all at once. Let's jump out to California where we have Stephen Wayne Anderson. Stephen was a contract killer who murdered an elderly woman during a home invasion. Now, Stephen went all out. 2 grilled cheese sandwiches, a pint of cottage cheese, a peach pie, chocolate chip ice cream, and radishes. That's right, just radishes. Radishes to clean the soul or to clean the palate. We may never know. And just when you thought pecan pie and Kool-Aid was as strange as it gets, let's go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole with some truly bizarre last requests. And one state that said, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We have Lawrence Russell Brewer from the state of Texas. Brewer was a white supremacist convicted in a horrific hate crime. His final meal? 2 chicken fried steaks with gravy and sliced onions, a triple bacon cheeseburger, a cheese omelet with ground beef, tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, and jalapenos, a large bowl of fried okra with ketchup, 1 pound of barbecued meat with half a loaf of white bread, 3 fajitas, a meat lover's pizza, a pint of Blue Bell vanilla ice cream, a slab of peanut butter fudge with crushed peanuts, and to wash it all down, 3 root beers. That sounds like a lot, but to make it even more odd, he didn't eat any of it. When he asked why, he reportedly said he wasn't hungry. That didn't just spark outrage, it triggered policy change. In the state of Tennessee, we have Philip Workman. Philip was convicted of killing a police officer during a robbery. His request? A vegetarian pizza. But not for himself. A vegetarian pizza to be delivered to a homeless person of their choice. The state of Tennessee refused. However, activists heard about the request, and hundreds of pizzas were donated to shelters all across Tennessee in his name. So, maybe a good deed on his way out of this world. Next up, we'll jump to my home state of Ohio, and we have Robert Buell, a convicted child murderer. His request? A single black unpitted olive. If that sounds familiar, that's right, same as Victor in Iowa. Either a weird copycat, or olives are just surprisingly poetic. And then we go back to Texas. We have James Edward Smith. His final request for last meal? A lump of dirt. That sounds pretty strange. However, he claimed that he needed it for a voodoo ritual. The state of Texas denied this request, and instead, they gave him a cup of yogurt. I'm not sure if yogurt was part of the spell, but nonetheless, James got some yogurt for his final meal. And to kind of wrap it all up, we're just going to go straight to the state of Texas, 2011. We talked about Brewer and the incident where he ordered a list long of items and decided he wasn't hungry when the food got there. So after the Brewer incident, Texas said, no more special requests. Since 2011, inmates in Texas receive the same last meal as everyone else in general prison population. That's right, no KFC buckets, no mint chip chocolate ice cream, and no ritual dirt. Just whatever's on the tray that specific day. State Senator John Whitmore called the previous policy a privilege the perpetrator did not provide their victim. It's pretty hard to argue with the state senator's viewpoints on the final meal, whether you agree with it or not. If you are in the state of Texas, your last meal is pretty much whatever's on the menu that specific day. So whether it's an olive, a pizza for the homeless, a pile of food left untouched, last meals walk the strange line between humanity and horror, the finality of life. These requests don't forgive what was done, but they do reveal slivers of the people behind the headlines. And sometimes they reveal a system at its breaking point. There's something deeply strange about the last meal tradition. It's the final act of control, yet comfort. For some, it's indulgent, and for others, it's symbolic. But for a few, it's almost what feels like a confession of its own. These requests, they aren't just about food. They're about memory, identity, power, and even sometimes guilt. So as we close out this week's Mini Sode, I want to leave you, the listener, with two questions. For one, naturally, what would your last meal be? And more importantly, do you think your conscience would allow you to enjoy it? Food for thought. So thanks for joining me on this quick mini-sode of 50 States, 50 Murders. Sarah will be back next week, and we do have a pretty heavy-hitting full episode coming your way that you do not want to miss. In the meantime, if you like this bite-sized format, let us know. Maybe we'll keep making mini-sodes as a recurring side dish. Don't forget to rate, review, and send us your weirdest last meal picks. Maybe we'll read them out loud on a future episode. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, stay tuned in to 50 States, 50 Murders, and most importantly, stay hungry for the truth.